The discipline of lesson planning will instill the necessary thought processes for teachers to produce coherent and effective lessons. In particular, a teacher with strong lesson planning skills will be able to understand and answer the following questions. First, how is a specific unit of learning divided into lessons? What are the objectives of each lesson? What teaching and learning activities are most effective for achieving the objectives? What materials are needed to carry out the activity and achieve the objectives? And when should an activity be carried out, and for how long? So, why a lesson plan then? Organizing your ideas, knowing the steps to follow in a lesson, having a clear objective of what you want your students to learn in the lesson are elements that will make your class successful. When you do not plan your lessons, on the other hand, you may have the following problems. Students can get more easily distracted. You don't achieve your objectives. There could be behavioral problems. Your lessons may not be connected. And there might be frustration for both the teacher and the students. When you plan your lesson, on the other hand, objectives are generally achieved. The material you use for a lesson can be reused in other lessons. And it can help you reflect on your teaching methods. To make a good lesson plan, you need to consider the following: level of the students, their background, their age, and nationality. You also need to consider aims. For example, present the use of the present simple with the function of talking about routines. Or, to review the simple past tense. We can also present vocabulary connected to food. Here are some other ways of stating lesson aims. For example, identify the meaning of the underlined words. Differentiate between at and in. Practice reading or listening comprehension. Role-play a situation at the grocery store. Other points you need to consider when planning your lesson are your assumptions. This refers to your students' previous knowledge and what the students need to know or be familiar with in order to understand the topic or aim of your lesson. For example, if your lesson aim is a role-play situation at the grocery store, your students may be familiar with vocabulary related to groceries, or they should at least know most of the words they need to use in the role-play. It's also important that they've had some exposure to language used when asking for an item in a shop. Anticipated problems and solutions. This refers to what you think could be the difficulty during the lesson. For example, in the case of the role play, they may be shy and may not like to perform in front of an audience. Or they may not use the target language as fluently as you had expected. At this point, you can make a list of the possible problems that may arise. Then, think of how you would solve them. Duration of the lesson. How long is the lesson, and how long will each step or activity last? Method or approach you want to use. If you are familiar with different approaches, such as the communicative approach, task-based learning, audiolingual-based approach, etc., choose the most appropriate for that particular lesson aim. Types of activities. What type of activities or tasks will be included in the lesson, and what aids will you need to use to achieve your aims? Aids refer to any material or tools you will need to use to achieve your aims. For example, roll cards, pictures, realia, magazines, handouts, and even the board. It is definitely time-consuming, taking all the above into consideration when planning the lesson for the next day. For a lesson that may take 45 minutes, a beginner teacher can spend all evening thinking of contents, materials, and activities. It's advisable, though, to take the time to make a detailed lesson plan when you are a beginner teacher. Once you grasp the principles, you will start making lesson plans almost unconsciously.